For more than 2 years, a few pieces of debris floating in the Atlantic Ocean were all that was left of Air France Flight 447, and the answer to what happened seemingly lost forever on the ocean floor. But in May of 2011, state-of-the-art submarines made a remarkable dive more than 2 miles below the ocean's surface and collected the crucial black box. Expert analysis of the reported cockpit transcripts point to a perfect storm of problems, including stormy weather, aircraft malfunction, and pilot error. But some say there was another contributing factor, the very design of the Airbus cockpit.
Would Air France 447 have had the same disaster if this cockpit were a Boeing instead of an Airbus?
I think it would have been much less likely to happen in a Boeing because the control wheels are large. They're obvious. I think it could hardly have been missed.
When's the last time you were in one of these?
To help us break down and understand what happened on board Air France Flight 447, CBS News aviation and safety expert Captain Chesley Sully Sullenberger took us into an Airbus simulator.
This is going from neutral to full nose-up command, full aft side stick. That's it, right there. That one little movement.
That small movement on the Airbus flight controls, or side stick, raises the nose of the plane and instructs it to climb. Pilots rarely perform the maneuver at high altitudes because it can be very dangerous. But that is exactly what one Flight 447 pilot did. Around 2:05 a.m., when the Airbus A330 was flying through a storm system, all 3 of its speed indicators stopped working. As a result, the aircraft's autopilot turned off. With the captain on break, the 2 co-pilots were forced to fly the plane manually. The least experienced pilot, 32-year-old Pierre Bonin, was in the right seat and said, "I have the controls." Co-pilot David Robert was in the left seat, and even though considerably more experienced, he let Bonin fly.
Theoretically, it was possible to still fly the airplane under those conditions.
Challenging, but manageable.
Yes.
Although they lost the autopilot and speed indicators, they were flying normally and safely. But then suddenly, and without Robert knowing, Bonin does something almost inexplicable. He pulls back on his side stick and raises the nose of the plane. That causes the aircraft to fall, and the stall warning sounds.
That's the alarm. Stall alarm.
Over the next 4.5 minutes, the stall warning will sound 75 times. But strangely, neither pilot will mention it. And unbeknownst to Robert, Bonin will keep the nose of the plane up almost the entire time, exactly what he shouldn't do, a decision that experts still can't understand.
It's difficult to explain that. I just don't know why he did that.
And there's nothing to you that makes sense on any experience or intellectual level about pulling back when you should push forward?
No.
Nothing at all?
Because of Bonin's actions, the plane is attempting to climb, but is actually losing altitude. Robert appears to have no idea the nose is being lifted when he says, "What the hell is happening? I don't understand what's happening." If he had known what Bonin was doing, Robert could have conceivably solved the problem very easily at this point.
So you're sitting where Bonin was sitting, and he starts pulling back.
Right.
Sullenberger showed us why he thinks in this situation the design of the airplane helped keep Robert in the dark.
And it's a subtle movement compared to more traditional airplanes.
And unless I happen to notice you visually doing it, I would have no way of telling over here that it happened.
Because your side stick is not linked to mine. When I move this one, that one never budges.
By traditional airplanes, Sullenberger means those built by Boeing. There are only 2 major airliner manufacturers in the world, Boeing and Airbus, and the 2 have different cockpit designs and philosophies. The main difference, Airbus uses side stick technology, Boeing uses a yoke.
In this airplane, you have a big control wheel. It's right in front of both pilots.
We sat down in a Boeing 747 simulator to see the difference.
They're mechanically linked. They're not independent. So if I move mine, yours moves in unison.
Had he been pulling back in a Boeing, how would it have looked?
Like this.
And on my side, it's in my lap.
Yes.
Robert would clearly have known what was happening if this was happening in a Boeing.
I think it would be obvious.
Yeah.
Airbus didn't respond to our request for comment. However, they have never wavered in their public support of their cockpit design. At 2:10 a.m., 5 minutes after the autopilot disengaged, the Airbus A330 continues to lose significant altitude as the captain re-enters the cockpit and says, "What the hell are you doing?" Bonin, the least experienced pilot, continues to hold back on his side stick, but still doesn't seem to understand what's happening. "We've lost control of the airplane," Bonin says. Robert tells the captain, "We've totally lost control of the plane. We don't understand at all." Almost a minute later, as the plane is now just 10,000 feet above the surface of the ocean, Bonin finally reveals the crucial information they've needed. He shouts, "I've had the stick back the whole time." Robert seems to instantly realize what's going on. He jumps in and says, "Give me the controls, give me the controls." But it's too late. About 40 seconds later, the two co-pilots say what will be their last words. Robert, "Damn it, we're going to crash. This can't be happening." Bonin, "But what's happening?" 4 seconds after that, the voice recorder cuts out.
It's clear that the pilot of Airbus have to work as a team.
Robert Soulas lost his 24-year-old daughter Caroline in the crash. Her husband of just 2 years was a flight attendant on board.
I was alone on the earth. Nothing to speak, a lot of questions with no answer.
228 people lost their lives that night. After analyzing debris and examining remains, experts suspect passengers likely didn't know what was going wrong until they hit the ocean's surface. A tiny bit of solace in one of modern aviation's biggest disasters.
We don't want that the victims are dead for nothing.
Soulas and everyone who lost someone that night want answers. But industry experts want more. Beyond increased pilot training, if deemed necessary, even changes to the cockpit design. So the circumstances that took down Flight 447 never happen again.
If we only blame the pilots, we will not have changed any of the fundamental underlying conditions. We won't have done our best to prevent this from happening again.